Welcome back to another episode. We are continuing our celebration of Hispanic Heritage Month, and we are in Guatemala speaking with Dimitry Ortiz. Dimitry is a robotic process automation project manager with Simply Automate, helping small and medium businesses with their digital transformation by creating a digital workforce. Dimitry, welcome to the show, brother.
Hey, happy to be here, Enriquez. Shout out to everyone. Just dialing in, as you said, Guatemala City, Guatemala, the land of the Mayan Empire. Just representing to the fullest. Happy to be here and excited to get this conversation, man. Because I know you're a wonderful host, and I've seen your podcasts, and you have wonderful people on. So I am seriously honored for the opportunity you are allowing me to be here and talk to you today.
Well, I mean, this is an episode that's been in the works for a year at least, right? And we've been talking about and collaborated on other projects, but so happy to have you with us today talking about specifically leadership and technology. But before we get into the specifics of the matter today, tell us a little bit about you.
Well, yeah, Enrique, thank you. As you mentioned, I'm from Guatemala, Guatemala City. But part of my story goes to the U.S. I immigrated to the U.S. when I was 10 years old. My grandmother, my mother's mother, married an American, 2 World War hero, Air Force general. So we were able to go to the U.S. because my grandmother had married an American. So we were invited to go just visit, ended up staying. The plan was to learn English for a year and then come back, but we loved it so much that we ended up, I ended up growing up in the U.S. So, when I, just like any immigrant, I had to learn the language. I didn't speak one word of English. I remember my first day in school, just learning, not being able to, having that challenge. But that alone just, allowed me to have a great life, understanding that we are all challenged from any phase of our life, no matter where we're from. And so, yeah, I grew up in my first city was San Diego, California. I mean, how can you go wrong? I grew up skateboarding and surfing and just loving the SoCal life, and so yeah, that's who I am. I'm a U.S. immigrant that grew up in the U.S. and ended up in the technology field, becoming a computer scientist.
And I tell you that even when you have, because I was born in Puerto Rico, part of the U.S., so we're born U.S. citizens, but my first language was Spanish. I also had to learn English once we traveled to New York, and it's not an immigration, right? But we didn't immigrate in it, but I still had to learn, just like any other Spanish-speaking nation, a native that did not know English. So even within the confines of the United States of America, there's still a nation that is learning English as their second language. Now, you mentioned computer science. I know a lot of computer scientists, a great field to get in. I've always kind of pushed for my sons to consider, right, the STEM field. I come from meteorology, oceanography, STEM-centric field. But what got you started in the automation technology, but computer science as a whole?
Okay, so yeah, I like to tell my story because you know what, this is a great example of how everybody can jump into technology. And this is the reason I actually promote jumping into technology, because it's actually one of the fastest growing fields in that every other industry umbrella is underneath it. So if you think about it, it doesn't matter what you think you want to do, technology will be there with you. So to start my journey, what happened was after graduating high school, I went on a full-time ecclesiastical mission to Italy for 2 years. Once I came back from that, I moved to upstate New York, Syracuse, with my brother-in-law that was into technology. He's like, because you know, it was like I graduated high school, I went on a mission, I came back, it was like I was still fresh, I didn't know where to go, no direction. So he's like, hey, have you considered computer science? And I'm like, dude, do you know that I grew up without a computer in my home? He's like, yeah. And I mean, I'm talking, when I graduated in 95, we didn't even have internet in my high school. So it's interesting that he told me about this. And the only interaction that I had with a computer was when I, you know, in school, when I finished my work fast, I got to, you know, some time to play games that were that were words and you know, school related. But anyway, so he invited me to go up to upstate New York, and within 6 months, I studied the MCSE, which is Microsoft Certified System Engineering books that are, you know, a big, huge collection of horrible books that you can that you can read, which I did for 6 months. Within that time, I went and just sold myself as knowledge, and I got a job as a network technician. 8 months later, the network administrator left to Chicago. What happened is I did the legwork. I pulled the wires, I erected the network from the ground up. You know, we had inherited a legacy system. So I inherited the biggest infrastructure of the biggest company, freight company in the East Coast at the time. 31 terminals from Maine to Atlanta interconnected to my New York network. It was the biggest freight company under my responsibility at 22. I didn't have a degree, certification, nothing. Just that. That's how I started in IT. So I just wanted to, and this is early, this was in 98. Okay, so this is like late 90s. Okay, so people were still using dumb terminals. So I was able to see the transition from legacy systems, AS400 mainframe systems, you know, terminals, to erecting for the first time, introducing to people to PCs, internet, you know, corporate email, and all those things. So, you know, it's interesting that I saw that, you know, I was able to see the Y2K transition and all that new, the .com boom and all that. I was there, you know, and so it's interesting. So to answer your question is, I didn't choose it. It chose me as an IT, you know, so it chose me. And I started, you know, I mean, when I went to ask for a job, you realize that I grabbed 2 towers and I put network cards and I put one wire and connected them and was able to do a daisy chain. That was my extensive experience when I went and got that job. Within 8 months, I was responsible for that whole infrastructure. So I just want to tell people that, because as an immigrant, as somebody that wasn't from the country, that didn't understand even business, somebody that had learned the language, somebody that had no prior background in technology, no computer, you know, 25 years later, I'm involved in automation, which is the fastest growing technology in the software industry, RPA, which is changing the way we do business. And I'd love to talk to you about that too as well.
What a great way and example to Hispanics, Latinos, those that are not from the United States, that may be looking for a way into a good career field. What a great example to share. It's funny, and you said it chose me. You might as well throw that on a T-shirt, right?
Right. It chose me, exactly.
It chose you. Now there's another it. We won't mention him.
All right.
But IT in specific in the technology field, it's been growing. It's funny that you came in right at the Y2K era. You know, you're talking about the Mayan calendar, and everything was inspired around that. We literally thought that everything was going to shut down, you know, once the clock struck 12, right? And a lot of money was put into IT structures and infrastructure, computer science infrastructure, to mitigate the unknown, right? And it was really a time where we just did not know what in the world was going to happen. And you know, you took me back when you started taking dates, right? When we used to get into the systems by C:, you know, and had to boot that DOS system manually, because it wasn't like PCs that are today. You just press on the on button and you go. So wonderful share there, brother, about the evolution of how you started into this. Now, we mentioned your history, your background, right? Hispanic, Latino background. And I want to focus a little bit around that. There's not that many Hispanic Latinos in the STEM fields, right? And um, it's I remember vividly myself. I was one. There were three Hispanics in all my school when I was going through meteorology and oceanography. And I remember them till like today, like if it was yesterday, because it was that stark of a difference. It was the majority of all students in that school were white, right? There were only three Hispanics that I could recall, and about four African American out of the entire school. And so it's not prevalent that we get into this. So why is it important for Hispanic and Latinos to get into the STEM and STEAM area of work?
Oh man, wonderful question. And I'd love to answer because my perspective is actually coming from international. So this is going to be a great thing because understand this, brother. Technology, as I mentioned, is going to be is going to be the opportunity of the future. This is what people need to understand. We many people have done things the same way for many years. We are facing the biggest disruption of technology ever, the fourth industrial revolution, as we understand it. We are being faced with not even see, people fear what they don't understand, and that's the reason why we talk about AI and we talk about automation replacing people. And when you really talk about it that dry, you know what I mean, it doesn't really come through. But as Latinos, I think that the best thing that could have happened to us is technology, and I'll tell you why. When I came back to Guatemala about 10 years ago to work in nonprofits. We had an organization that helped through Central America, from Panama all the way to Honduras, Venezuela, Nicaragua, El Salvador, and all those. We would have 250 students learning English, and every 4 months we would have 250 students graduate with job placement in an English call center in their country. Now, why did we do that? The reason why I share this example is because we were trying to eradicate that immigration horrible option that people take. Not, media doesn't cover it, like we were not sufficiently important, but I'll tell you that the reason why I don't like those news is because, first of all, nobody cares. And I'm one of those people that I don't like to talk about the problem that is obvious. I like to talk about the problem and show what we can do about it. So that was the first thing that we did. We were able to actually change people's lives, because see, in Latin America, when you speak English, it's almost like a career. You speak English, you can go work for so many companies that come to Latin America and expect and require you to speak English. So that was the first thing that I wanted to tell you. Why? Because it's so important to understand that now people are actually learning English as a second language, as a natural thing. All my cousins here in Guatemala, they go to private school, of course, but they all speak multiple languages. Have never lived in those countries. The reason why I say that is because that's the first step for Latinos. Because now, as you may know, I work for a US-based company. We're a global company, and I work from the comfort of my own country. See what I'm saying? So this is wonderful for Latinos because now we can learn English, and now we can learn technology and get remote jobs and live where we want to live. If we want to live in our own countries because we love our tradition, we love our culture, we love our language, we love our people, we love our food, we love our dance, and we don't want to give that up, because that's a lot to give up for money or for a place that's not going to recognize any of that. Okay, anywhere you go that's not going to recognize that is going to be a lot of sacrifice for any Latino. So this is the reason why I think it's wonderful to know that now Latinos can learn English, learn to code, which is what I promote, and within a year be working for a company around the world. And that's what US and many other companies are doing right now. It's not like offshoring or anything like that. No, it's just like direct contract. And you just need to, be able to communicate in English, understand your field, and guess what? Now you don't have to immigrate and have to go through maybe a horrible situation if you're not legal. legally doing it. I never went through that, so I can't even imagine. You know, we were blessed that, you know, everyone in my, not nobody in my family has ever had to do that. But I know that a lot of our brothers and sisters are risking their lives because of the conditions that they have allowed and have enriched cartels and, you know, a bunch of organized crimes in our countries and completely destroyed all our borders because of this caravans. So I'm not going to talk politics here. I'm going to talk about solutions. And the solutions are that for Latinos, first of all, the reason we're right now, presently, we are only 8%. Can you imagine that in the STEM jobs? So we are not represented. We have not been able to understand that there's a field there, but don't trust me. We are people that are, if you look at the immigrants in the US, we are very entrepreneurial. We are very business focused. We are very career focused. Our Latinas are doing an amazing job. They're like the highest, they duplicate white females in that sense of creating businesses in the US. So as you can see, our people are going to just flourish like the flower in the desert because we are going to be given the opportunities we had not been given. We're not going to depend on a government. We're not going to depend on a president. We're not going to depend on our social status. We're not going to depend on our economy. We're going to be able to just learn something directly by ourselves, be autodidacts, self-teach ourselves, and reclaim our life and build our futures. And this is the reason why technology is so important for us, because technology, it's not just network administration and infrastructures. It's not just software development. It's not just IoT. It's not just IUX, UX. It's not just automation. It's not, I mean, if you think about what technology is doing, it is doing everything for us. If you're in business and you don't understand technology, you're not a business person. Sorry to say that, because you don't really understand what is evolving. So technology is in everybody's lives right now. Is in our homes, is in the streets, is in our computers, in devices, is in everywhere we are. So it's wonderful to know that there's going to 85% of the jobs in the future have not been created. Imagine that. Out of, and I want to, and like I said, Enrique, unfortunately, I do automation and people just misrepresent it. They think that it's going to come replace people. No. I want to talk about automation for a moment, if you don't mind, because I want to set the record straight. I'm here in a movement because, see, automation started 100 years ago. And if you remember, automation started with the fact that there weren't robots. So people had to do the job, right? Finally, robots were created and we were replaced. Now, was that a horrible thing or was that a wonderful thing? I don't know. Do we need to debate that? Not sure. I could just for the sake of it, but no. The same thing's happening with automation. We don't even understand the structure that we inherited. We have inherited a structure that we didn't leave the robotic work or the automated work in the assembly line. No. We took it to the so-called knowledge work area. If you think of an accountant, Enrique, they are all day, like in a week, 15 to 20 hours crunching the same repetitive manual work, like just mind-numbing, horribly repetitive. That doesn't stimulate in any way. Does not reward a human being in any way and destroys the natural mind. And yet nobody wants to talk about it. They want to talk about, oh, no, automation is going to replace me. No, it's going to replace the job that you're not supposed to be doing as a human. It's the robot that was not there before. Now we can have it. Robots are here to collaborate, not to replace us. But that's like saying, oh man, look, we used to work the land. Now there's tractors there. Those are robots. We have been replaced. Come on now. Seriously? So hopefully people will understand that technology is here to help us. Technology has created more jobs than it has ever taken. So I don't like this, if you want to call it misinformation that everybody shares about technology. It's unfortunate that there's not enough Latinos, loud and obnoxious like myself that are computer scientists with a vast, experience, not only on the technological side, but see, this is where Latinos come in. See, we're socially inclined. I mean, we just, we go to a place, we're there. We're loud, man. You know how we are. I mean, we love to dance, we love to eat, we love to just have a good time from the youngest to the oldest. We don't discriminate, man. We are everyone inclusive. And we don't have shades, man. Our shades are so wonderfully diverse that we don't even keep one. So you know what I mean? So it's like, we need that in technology, because 70% of technology right now is ran by white males. Now, I appreciate what they have done. They have done a wonderful work. But now we need to be aware of that. We need to be aware of the fact that we need diversity, not because I want to see a Latino up there doing technology and I'm going to feel good. No, no, no. See, I'm talking about diversity in thought. And see, we need that because as Latinos, we bring that different perspective, different experiences, different mentality, different attitude. That's just precious to a team. That's what I bring. You know what I bring to my company? We're a global company, Enrique. And guess what? I'm the only one that speaks Spanish. So now, by default, I'm going to become, future here soon speaking, the director of Latin America. Why? Because I speak that language. Because I know that culture. And so I'm very valuable to any organization anywhere in the world that's especially working globally. As you can see, yes, we are very precious and we have an amazing value that we don't even know about yet.
That's so true. You know, we oftentimes take the what's reflected from outside and we adopt it, right? Instead of saying, yo, I have something that most people don't have. And I've shared this in previous episodes. While I was in the Navy, we were going through the Strait of Gibraltar, and there was a need for Spanish speakers because their communication through that strait is Spanish, right? And so they had Spanish, they had a French interpreter, and I was picked to be the interpreter because I was fluent, you know, and I had taken an exam, the defense language exam, and was, you know, well, we were titled subject matter experts in Spanish because we wrote, spoke, and did everything else very fluently. And that was a benefit that I had because of my background, my Hispanic and Latino culture. So it comes in handy, I'm telling you. And for, like you were saying, there locally, if you learn English, it comes in handy. We become an asset, and a lot of folks need to really understand that. Now, we both share Hispanic Latino culture background. How has your Hispanic heritage influenced your technology community? Now, you just shared the fact that now you're, you know, in line for this great opportunity to lead Latin America, and that's one example. But share some others.
I think others is, like I said, Enrique, you know, personally, I can tell you that I have been able to bring, as a Latino, you bring just different, like I said, different mentality, different perspectives. Because like when we talk technology, come on, we still have that, you know, that stereotype that you come straight out of the Big Bang Theory. We're trying to kill that. We're trying to eliminate that because see, that's stopping a lot of people from coming in because they think you have to be like a schoolboy or an amazing. Hey, I I was worried about popularity in high school. Okay, I didn't really care about the subjects that they taught me. I wasn't the best student. I became actually better when I went to university, when I took things more seriously and I was paying for it. So what I can tell you is this: it's just like I think that we need to make technology a more human thing, no, not a certain people thing. You know, like I said, unfortunately, 70% of them are male whites that represent this. We need more women, for example, especially Latinas. They have proven to be you know, your space is leadership. They have proven to be amazing at leadership because I don't know, they our background, the way I mean, you think about how we think about our mothers, you know, what they do for the home. You know what I mean? Things that many countries around the world have lost. That maternal leadership that Latinas bring, you know, because just because that's the you know we're a very family oriented culture. You know what I mean? Believe me, that transfers into the world of work. And so it's wonderful to know that. Oh, another thing that I wanted to say, we are multilingual. So by being multilingual, think about, okay, see, technology, people think is weird. No, technology, you know what technology is? Is the manipulation of data. What is data? Information. And how do you communicate that information? If you think about what software is, it's created by languages. You've heard that, right? Programming languages. Hello, languages, communication. So why do you think India is so big in technology? They are just polyglots. So when your culture has you learning different languages, see, in Guatemala alone, okay, the land of the Mayan Empire, currently practices over 25 Mayan dialects. So as you can see, we're rich in multicultural and multi-languages, which is kind of what technology is. Multicultural is multi-platforms, multi-systems, and multiple languages that come together. Just having that in your natural being and you transfer that into technology, man, this field is for us. You know what I'm saying? And we are inclusive. We love just serving everyone. We don't think about, okay, who are you? No. Hey, come on, let's go, let's eat, let's dance. You know what I mean? Like I said, so I think we bring a lot of big things. I'm looking, only 20% of technology right now is being represented by females, like I said. And I think we need to change those. We need to change those things. We need to be represented better by the female knowledge and power that they bring. And we need more diversity in general, because not because I want to be political or anything like that. No. It's just that, just understand it. We can't have one way. We have to look at the more areas we have of perceptions and being able to have critical thinking from people that have had different experiences from different places around the world. That's what creates that beauty and just value that this pollination of knowledge that happens. And Latinos, within our cultures, we're diverse. Look at we have dialects, we have accents, we have nationalities, we have different cultures and traditions within ourselves, and then we come together. So I think that's a great example of what everybody can take. And so all those things in one, Latinos, I think, are going to you're going to start seeing a shift, because technology is going to give freedom and democratize the opportunity to be able to work from where you want to work and work on the field you want to work without having to be privileged in the sense of having money for college or support groups that are there for you. If you're somebody like me that had to make it on your own and really, just look for opportunities, I think those are there. They're coming, and I'm excited.
Yeah, and so am I. It's nice to know. When I was first introduced to the STEM field, it was by virtue of an assessment. Right, they did an assessment exam on me, and yeah, I was not a great mechanic, but lo and behold, math and English, or math and science, I was that was my highest marks. And having learned English in the States, when obviously comprehension and aptitude stuff was very high as well. And they offered me meteorology and oceanography. I had no desire at the time. I didn't even know what it was. I knew what weather people did, and made it a 26-year career, rose to the top, and got accolades, every so often for my effectiveness in that field. So you can do it, and as long as you're able to, and you bring up a good point, right? The multi facet of our life, right? Multicultural, multilingual, opens us to be more apt to receive and actually perform in these fields that are often not basically promoted. Don't know why, but we do need to do a better job in promoting these fields in our, Hispanic Latino community. Talking about representing in the community and getting words out. I love the fact that you guys have a program to help folks in Guatemala go into that field, learn English, and then start to learn how to code and become their own source of income, right? Because that's what happens. Um, but not everybody has those programs, right? Not everybody has the ability to have somebody in their community to spearhead a program like this, where we're ensuring the next generation has a well-to-do future. So, how can a young Latino or Latina get into STEM or STEAM, um, and and if they do not have the encouragement or resources at hand?
It's difficult when you don't have those things, Enrique. I think that's why we need to make sure that we promote programs such as like the main one that I promote is freecodecamp.org. Now, freecodecamp.org is not, I mean, you could like right click and completely translate the whole thing. So it's like Spanish for yourself. So you don't even need to, before you needed to learn English in order to learn programming. Now you can start learning programming just by having web access. Now, most people are in on Facebook and texting and communicating through WhatsApp. And I'm thinking that's internet access. So internet access is becoming a little more democratized and more accessible to most. This organization, freecodecamp.org, they are offering this a complete course to become a full stack engineer, which is like the most sought out positions around the world, paying from 75 to 135,000 a year. So that's where the opportunity is. You no longer need to pay for college. You don't need to go to college. You know what's great? This is the answer. Most top tech companies do not and will not require a college degree anymore. Even Elon Musk has even said it himself. And he's not necessarily a top tech, but Google, Apple, all those guys, now they have recognized that if you have experience in doing what you say you know what to do, is more important than a piece of paper that you went and took a lot of college, a lot of classes that were relevant, that weren't really well taught, overpriced. So as you can see, now no degree, no problem. No money, no problem. You have internet access, and this is just one of the websites, Coursera, and there's a bunch of other ones. Like, I mean, just there are plenty. I mean, even okay, another thing that's happening, Enrique, that people are not aware of, all the top league, Ivy League colleges and universities are promoting their courses for free. So now you can go on those websites, and even in Spanish. Now you can go on those websites from top even universities in Mexico and through Latin America, that you can go and take this classes that nobody else would have access to unless you went and pay that money from these amazing teachers that people are paying top dollars to have access to. And these classes are for free. So if you really have a desire, when I started, I had no computer, never had a computer, and had no money. You know what? You can today, if you have somewhat of an internet access, you have the world in your fingertips. Now I say that because it's true. I've seen, and I know people that have within 1 year have changed their lives from no job, no career, to full-time employment, software developers making a lot of money, buying their houses within years, a few years of their careers. Another thing that I have seen is a lot of Latinos from Latin America and from Guatemala that have worked for companies here, because there's a lot of companies, that American companies that are here, that they start working here for them, and then they immigrate to the US with the company. So as you can see, that's another way if you really want to immigrate and go to another place, technology and English are there. So I don't know if I can justify, I mean, I don't know if you knew, but Duolingo, the #1 app was done by a Guatemala. Just wanted to say it. You have to say it. You have to celebrate it. So the reason why I celebrate that is because it's the #1 app to learn language. So if you put 1 hour minimum a day, within 1 year, you will learn English and you will speak English sufficiently to get a job. And within 1 year, you can get certifications if you really put your mind to it. You can go to internet cafes instead of going and browsing and playing video games like everybody does, or going on Facebook and talking some nonsense and reading some nonsense. Grab a hold of your life. Know that we no longer have to accept what was in the past or what was given to us. We no longer have to accept what life gives us. We now have the power to create our own future.
And I agree. The other day, I was watching a video of a young kid sitting underneath a post, a light post to finish his homework. That kid would it. Some people saw that as oh, look at this poor kid. I saw it as, look at this rich kid that no matter the circumstances he's in, he's still committed and determined to get his education. And, that's the difference, right? The difference is who wants it and who doesn't, and the excuses are gone. They're out of they're out the window, right? I used to talk about, oh, my shoulder. And then I saw a video of a man working in a garage with no legs. And I said, this brother's, he's tossing stuff and he's doing all this stuff I don't have an excuse. There's no excuse, bro. Right?
Enriquez, you know what the worst part about it? The narrative that they're selling. They're selling victimization, and I can't stand it. I refuse. I will fight against it. You know why? Because, see, I come from a third world country. When I was born in 1976, there was a huge earthquake in Guatemala. The reason why I was born, because of that earthquake, altered my mom, and 9 months later, I was born. In November, when I was born, because it was in February when it happened, all the children there was like massive numbers of pregnant women in a destroyed hospital. I was almost going to be born on the hallway. There was no infrastructure. It was destroyed. This is when nobody, imagine if it was Katrina had a hard time getting help. Imagine Guatemala in 1976. So the reason why I tell you that is that's how I was introduced to the world. People be like, oh man, that's horrible. I'm like, no, I love my story. Could you ever be bored of hearing my story? And another thing is that I come from the slums, in other words, because when you don't have, ghettos are structured. They have running water, they have electricity, they have schools, they have cops. Wow, they can defend them and can have great places. This is when people have everything and they don't know what it is to not have anything. And see, this is the reason why I say there are people in the world that are so poor, all they have is money. And this is where I bring it back. They call them privilege sometimes. And I think if you come from a parent that sometimes gives you everything you need and provides everything you need, isn't that robbing you from learning how to get those things? And when you have been given everything and you don't suffer a little bit and you don't think, okay, I don't have it, now I have it, and you have the opportunity to exercise being grateful, then your life is not as good as you think. You know what I mean? And when you are not hungry, you normally will not do the sacrificing, will do the work, the hard work, the discipline, and the blood, sweat, and tears that it requires to get somewhere. So when you have a hard life, I applaud it, because you have been privileged in this position to learn how to excel, because we only find our greatness when we are challenged. So I'm tired of this narrative. Oh, poor me. Oh, no money. Yay. That's where I came from. And I don't use that as an excuse. I use that as a privilege that life has given me to learn how to make things happen for myself. I started working full-time at 16, in a cheese factory while I was going full-time school in high school, when my mom was, in cancer, and my dad left us when I was 13. You know what? We could talk about our stories, and it's good to share them, because then we realize, hey, somebody else is more messed up than I am. That's good. That's motivating. So I'm just sick and tired of this, people, man, if people are complaining about something, they haven't traveled anywhere in the world yet. I'm here to tell you, you can do it, man.
You remind me. Yeah, I just went to Puerto Rico at the beginning of at the ending of August, early September, and came back early September. And there's here in the States, you have streets with potholes, and you got something to complain until you go to some place like Puerto Rico and try to drive there, where
Yeah,
where potholes make most of the road.
no, I'm telling
So,
you.
so yes, you know, there's different ways of seeing things. You know, your current situation is meant for you. It's meant for you, but it's not meant to kill you. It's not meant to bring you down and just take you away, or else you wouldn't have never been born, right? It's meant so that you can become the person that you were destined to be. So take advantage of your surroundings and your upbringings and the opportunities to learn something that others could never or would never learn, right? Um, so talking about the Latino makeup, the Hispanic community, where do you see us 5 years from now? Let's just say in the world of automation and technology, as we are coming up, we just got a release notice about Elon Musk and his robot. You know, these things are coming; they're not going to stop. So where do you see us in 5 years?
Okay, so in 5 years, we're going to recognize that a lot of things that we didn't think were important are more important. For example, emotional intelligence, as you know, in the world of business, we've been able to actually start to talk about the kind of new self-awareness. All those things are going to actually bring back the human in us, because as I mentioned, what technology is going to do is going to allow us to be freed so that we can in some way become remember our internal growth as opposed to our external challenges. And what that's going to create is going to motivate our natural state of humans, which is curiosity. The curiosity is going to push us to innovation. Innovation is going to bring our creativity out, and those things, as I mentioned, with the through language, which is computer languages right now are a little complex. Remember, we're heading towards a place where it's going to be natural, more natural language, like the natural spoken language, that programming languages, where we're going to be able to command as we speak today. So we're going to be able to create more. This is what's wonderful, man, because we're not going to you're not going to have to be in the IT department or be in the IT or in the technology industry. You'll be able to be anyone working for anything, and you're going to be able to leverage technology to create more, because what technology is going to do is going to enhance all of our abilities, all of our capabilities and skills better than today. And so I think that's where I'm more excited about Latinos and everyone around, because every Latinos, as I mentioned, we like to start businesses. So trust me, we're going to start a lot of businesses, services that people don't even imagine can be businesses, and we're going to be able to use our communication as our main source of power. It's not going to be your money. It's not. I mean, look at influencers from overnight, because somebody gave them a chance to speak. Somebody gave them a chance. I mean, we're rich. Like I told you, our traditions and our culture, like food. Imagine just be how many ladies are and males are going to be able to be able to exploit the food that we have, in whatever ways. And so we're going to be able to broadcast that a lot more. We're not going to have to be in a place like in the US where you have to go to the US in order to be found. I think technology like today is going to allow us to communicate from remote places that have never been seen or heard from. And we're going to be able to create things that have never been seen as well. So creativity is going to be one of our more future-proof skills, I believe. And being ourselves and understanding ourselves as humans, that's going to be our strength, because we're going to understand that instead of following those patterns that we have been inherited, we're going to be able to create new ones that we have not heard of or thought about before. And that is exciting, man, because that is going to give so much opportunity to so many that have not been given the opportunity, and at a very accessible way. And automation is going to allow us to be able to do more in less time with more efficiency. And think about how we're going to change just the morale in the workforce. People talk about doing internal stuff and doing meetings here and special people coming and talking there. But what about the way we work? If we revolutionize the way we work instead of doing repetitive work, you know what I mean, like robots, we're not robots. We're not robots. So we got to stop being robots. We got to stop working like robots and start being human and exploiting the the skills, talents that we have been endowed from creation. And that's the most exciting part about the future, Enrique, that everyone is going to have a voice. Everyone is going to have an opportunity. It's just going to be your choice.
And I've seen a lot of that here come because of the pandemic period, where technology went to the forefront. We had to rely more on the ability to do things through technology and not in person, right? We basically negated the personal aspect and just dove in completely on the technology side. Look at just this episode today, I'm in Florida, you're in Guatemala, but we're in the same room, sharing this information with the public. And so, yes, technology is going to facilitate a lot of that. um it's been such a joy to share this time with you, to talk technology, to talk Latino Hispanic community. Dimitri, if somebody wanted to get a hold of you, maybe talk to you about how they can get into technology or your services, what you do with automation, how would they do that?
Enrique, I'm a content creator on LinkedIn, so I would highly recommend to follow me and connect with me on LinkedIn. I would love to, if you're someone that wants to start, especially Latinos and anyone out there that wants to start a technical career, allow me to give you some tips. It's not my job, but it's my joy. So it's very different. So I would love to help anyone that would love to understand how to get a career start in technology from ground zero. And I will, and I'm so I promote those. I promote self taught programming. So get a hold of me. And if we're helping small medium-sized businesses scale through automation. And what we do is we help businesses not have to have full-time employment. People have to do data entry and a bunch of other repetitive stuff that bots can do. So we are helping a lot of small, medium-sized businesses scale with technology that is actually more affordable and accessible than that used to be at 10 years ago. So please look us up. We would love to be able to help you. Simply Automate Inc. is our company. And yes, please get a hold of me. Just connect with me. I would love to hear from you and hear about your journey and whatever it is that you're doing.
Outstanding. Well, folks, we're going to have that as part of the show notes and video so you can get a hold of Dimitri. Brother, thank you so much for sharing once again this important topic for not only the Hispanic Latino community, but for everyone they can actually get into these fields with just dedication and commitment, right? You need that, yeah, because
Definitely.
there's a lot to learn. But if you have that, you could actually change the course of your life. And folks, if you've enjoyed this episode and learned something interesting about the topic covered today, make sure to subscribe and let us know by leaving a comment right now. And we're always looking for new ideas and guests that we can add to our show. So if you know someone and have a topic that you would like featured on the podcast, or you want to sponsor our show, we love to hear about it by emailing us at triadleadershipsolutions@gmail.com. And be sure to tune in next week for another episode where we dissect leadership from another angle. And as we like to end the show, success to you.